1. We're live. It's Chaos and Coffee, episode 8 on YouTube Live. I just coughed my brains out and I'm currently crying. I'm Justin Brown. With me today is Charles Wisdom, a computer expert and Linux advocate. If you guys want to join the Hangout, please leave a comment in the chat or direct message me for a link to the Hangout. Today we're going to be discussing random various topics, and as always, people may drop in and add to the conversation. What were we just talking about? Tobacco.
What do we have on our talking points? I know we there were several things we said, hey, we need to save this for on air.
Yeah. Well, as always, there's the ongoing critique of religion and government we're going to talk about. We were going to, of course, bitch about Facebook.
Oh, yeah, there's always bitching about Facebook to do.
Yeah. And then most recently, just the complaint about, well, not even a complaint, just, the coping with tobacco. Trying to quit smoking, I guess.
Yes. Yep. Well, I did for a while, for like 6 months. I didn't smoke cigarette at all, but then again, I went to vaping. Right. But my girlfriend smokes, and it's hard to say no.
Yeah, I understand that. I can go without smoking on days that I'm not doing comedy, but if I go to do comedy somewhere, inevitably people are smoking. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I either have to bum a cigarette or bring a pack, and if I bring a pack, no exaggeration, the whole pack's gone that night by other comedians bumming cigarettes, you know? We need to just rob a tobacco truck, guys. Anybody out there watching this later, should be viewed as a piece of humor. But seriously, we should jack a tobacco semi.
Just grow your own.
I guess growing tobacco is really difficult. Apparently, from what I've read, it's easier to grow marijuana than grow tobacco.
Oh, wow.
Due to the curing process of the tobacco, the tobacco leaf is toxic because it's secreting, it's like literally secreting that nicotine. So like if you absorb it through your skin, it's dangerous, right? So like they have to wear these suits. Like tobacco farmers have to wear kind of akin to a bee suit. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess the natives did it in much smaller quantities, didn't they?
I think they were using a plant that their native tobacco plant is it's different. It's like
another one of those where we have bred the plant into something that it's
and not even us, like the Turkish.
Not really what it was before.
Yeah, exactly. Like they had wild tobacco. Right, and I believe the Aztecs had a type of tobacco that they traded, and the tobacco from Europe comes out of the Middle East, where they had figured out how to crossbreed plants. You know what I mean? So,
hey, on that subject, I have a mystery here I've been trying to solve for decades. Decades. And I call it the mystery of the corn.
Okay.
Okay. Now the mystery breaks down like this. You look at ancient texts, the Enuma Elish, the Epic of Gilgamesh, and corn is mentioned throughout Mesopotamia, through multiple sources. The Bible mentions corn in Egypt, right? Yet the leading scientific explanation for corn was that it was a genetically engineered crop exclusive to South America that was unknown to the Western world before Columbus.
I would chalk that up probably to corn. The word corn originally means cereal or any grain, right? Like what we'd call grains or cereal, and I mean not breakfast cereal, but oats and to some extent rice and other grainy vegetation that could be produced into bread and stuff, you know?
So is that why the Indian corn, the original strains, is known as maize?
Yeah, I would say the correct term is maize, in my opinion. I mean, I think in their opinion too. Any indigenous people that are still out there, let us know. But I mean, they call it maize a lot. And then we were calling it corn, the settlers, if you will. Not we, like we weren't there, but the settlers, my bad, they.
Just because it was grain.
Yeah, because it was a grain. Because corn, maize, because maize was a grain, they called it corn. You know what I'm saying? And then and then Americans like
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like
I think I get too bogged down in the details and the explanation than I do.
A lot of it's
just sometimes sit down and look at the more logical.
Yeah, a lot of it's language. Like a lot of it's language that
yes, language.
Or there'll be like a word that's very similar to another word, or it's like corn with a C or corn with a K. You know, like one of them's the god of, one's like the Celtic like word corn comes from this god of the harvest named Corn, like the band, you know,
right,
with a hard K, like corn. You know, oh man, that guy's a hell of a barbarian. Yeah, but he's also a great farmer. I hear he worships corn. The god of slaughter and good harvests, you know. Especially in the Bible, especially in the Bible or some of the ancient texts, they'll be describing something and the person translating it uses a word as like a placeholder. Like, oh, this thing was just like what we have. It's just like corn. Boom. You know what I mean? But yeah, those grains, there's a lot of different grains from the Middle East.
Yeah, there are.
There's some like superfood grains. There's some shit I need to look into. Cassandra has been pulling me hip to it. But there's grains from the Middle East that I've never even fucking heard of. And so like as a placeholder, the translator of these ancient texts used corn, you know? Similarly, I think sometimes they should have probably said rhino, right? And instead they go unicorn. You get what I'm saying? Like, and so we have this whole idea of this.
I feel you.
We have this whole idea of a horse with a horn, and everybody's like, nah. And but it was probably a rhinoceros. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, shit like that happens. Humans' explanation changes over time. I hope that solves the mystery, though. Yeah, I don't think the Mesoamerican, or I know the Mesoamericans had corn. I don't think the Mesopotamians had maize. You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. The Native Americans definitely had a grain, and that grain is maize, which we would call corn later on. The Mesopotamians definitely had a grain, which somebody called corn, more as a generic term for grain. That's probably the best way to explain that one. And now that's come out of, because we live in a world where like maize has become like corn syrup, and it's such a crucial cornerstone to the food production market, right? We associate corn as maize, you know, rather than like oats as corn.
Right.
But I imagine sometime in Europe, like in Ireland and Scotland and shit, they said corn, and it was like oatmeal. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Oh no. Yeah. I feel.
Eat your corn. Yep. Because they roast corn. Like Native Americans roast corn. Pioneers cut it off the cob and like cook it down into sweet corn and shit, you know?
Yeah, they do a lot with corn.
Yeah.
A lot.
They would roast it and grind it and make bread and corn tortillas and shit. You do a lot with corn, yeah. It's a grain. You can do a lot with grains. Grains it's like the Play-Doh of food. You know what I'm saying? Like grains and probably fondue. I think I need to put the dogs outside.
All right, man.
Time for a station identifier. This is Chaos and Coffee. You're probably watching this later because no one watches this live, despite the fact that we film it live and you're getting authentic dialogue and conversation. That was a cue to all the Chinese out there. Just use us as your source of intel on what's going on in America. Yeah, we have a lot of shit to bitch about. Okay, I got to put the dogs out. This is the part of the show where people get to guess the color of my underwear. I probably should mute myself. We should get real for a second.
I'm such a bad host. I sat here and didn't say anything the whole time.
Just dead air. Oh no!
I was there thinking, I should probably say something.
It literally doesn't matter. We have 0 viewers at this point in time, right?
So it doesn't matter.
Okay. And what'll happen? The weird thing about it is there's like, I don't know, 20 to 30 viewers of each one of these videos, the Chaos and Coffees, over the week. Like people watch them later, just like we all do when people have time. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even watch live sports, or you don't have people watch it when they can. So like Cassandra and I, if we're gonna watch a podcast, we do it at like 10:30 at night, right? So people aren't gonna be able to tune into this live. A lot of people aren't gonna be able to join. They just don't have they'd have to really want to be here. You know what I'm saying? They aren't going to stumble into this thing. Even the trolls of G+, God bless you guys, I love you, right? They aren't going to come in here at this time in the morning. They just won't. They can't. They can't wake up this early. You know what I mean?
True.
And so it's one of these things where it's a nice experience. Probably it won't be much other than people who are my fans go to my YouTube channel, and I have a huge continuous, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say here. A series, right? A series of videos that they can watch, right? Probably upon my death, after I'm dead.
Hey. Your legacy on YouTube.
Well, yeah, or like, dude, Jerry Seinfeld right now is doing this thing where his whole stand-up right now, his hour or whatever he's doing on tour, is from all his notes before he did the Tonight Show, the Johnny Carson show, or whatever the fuck, right? Okay. So it's all his early stuff. You get what I'm saying? And it's the tour's called Jerry Before Seinfeld, right? That's literally the stage I'm in right now. Like all my writing, everything I create right now is before I ever got any type of success whatsoever. Recognition or success. And so I'm being pretty candid about most of the shit I believe and think, being truthful, trying to share myself with the world. Maybe I'll be dead and gone and my kid can watch it.
Your grandkids.
Yeah, if Nathan has kids, yeah. I have like one son, so.
Well, so long as Google continues to be an entity.
Yeah, as long as they keep the simulation running, Oh man, there's 3 names. Okay, Planck, Kelvin, and the Jiffy, right? So like when you start like freezing shit, you know what I mean? It like starts going like really slow, and they've measured like basically the frame rate of the universe is a Planck, or wait, is a Jiffy. The easiest way to explain it is things, anything, like an electron or anything, moves 1 Planck in distance in 1 Jiffy of time. And then you go, what's a Jiffy? Well, a Jiffy is how long it takes anything to move a Planck. Like the smallest shit, like quarks, electrons that are moving around.
Right.
So it should be continuous, though. Like it should be a thing where it just flows, right? Like if this was reality, it would just scale all the way down, and it doesn't. It hits like this ground floor of like, this is time, this is distance. It's like the essential building blocks of this entire existence are these Jiffies and these Plancks. I've been reading into them like pretty heavily, right? And Kelvin, like the degree scale where you can get like down to like where nothing moves. Or you get to like extremely hot temperatures of the sun.
Zero, yeah.
Or absolute zero. Absolute zero is where everything stops. Like everything just goes right.
Yep.
It's pretty dope. It took me a while to get my head around that concept, but yeah, frozen, like truly fucking froze. I thought it was pretty cool. Oh, but yeah, no doubt Google.
I've been reading some really interesting documents.
Yes.
I decided to sit down and read the Halloween documents.
What's that?
They were a series of internal documents at Microsoft. They were all released right around in October, so they're referred to as collectively as the Halloween documents. But they outline plans to infiltrate and overtake the FOSS and Linux communities.
Holy shit!
Yes, and if you watch what they're doing now, that's exactly what they're doing. One of the things that talked about the success of FOSS on the back end of corporations was A, its price and that it was free. Right? B was its ability to they could customize it and streamline it for their own usage, but also that it uses well-known standard protocols. Right?
Yes.
So what they needed to do was take over those protocols and convert those over to proprietary format by creating a platform that Linux would then run on top of. So you do a conversion of the open protocols coming out of the Linux into the, and convert that on your backbone of your network into proprietary format and protocols. You could then absorb the code that you needed from the Linux distributions and just wipe it out. There's no need for it anymore. Why do we need all these different Linux distributions running our servers and storage and all this stuff when Microsoft Azure does it all?
I'm going to answer that rhetorical question. Do you know what I'm saying? Because the open source community tends, in my opinion, no, I think it's not even an opinion. I think we could say historically, the open source community is much more efficient at fixing bugs or exploits than Microsoft, the corporation.
Granted, it is.
Yeah, and again, it's millions of people working on the code for free in their spare time versus the thousands at Microsoft. Maybe if we're like looking at an ideal world, the thousands that maintain the code at Microsoft. I'm willing to bet it's more like hundreds that maintain the code, and there's thousands of people in Microsoft at this point who are just bloat corporate sell. Like we market. Like you don't need to market Microsoft.
Yeah.
We have commercials for Microsoft. Like, why?
Have you ever read that book? What was it called? The Barbarians of Microsoft or something like that? Oh, man. It basically portrayed Bill Gates as a guy who, outside of DOS, didn't really know or care kind of what was going on. She kind of portrayed him as like he had no focus. There were too many really cool things going on. But he wanted those cool things for himself. So like when he was building his house, they had built the world's first web browser. In all actuality, to run all these different monitors and give him access to all this shit in this electronic house he was building. And when they came up to him and said, "Hey, we could build something out of this and use this to network many computers together to share information," he was like, "Well, no, no. I developed this for my house." So when they finally had to get into the game and build a web browser, they just ported over the software that they used to run Bill Gates's house and created Internet Explorer.
Oh. That's I can see. I can see how his whole ethos is to keep it to himself. See, that's kind of the thing. Like, unbeknownst to a lot of the people outside the tech world, is that a lot of these tech innovators were really like vicious assholes. You know what I mean? Like Steve Jobs basically orchestrated everything. He called himself the conductor, because he had all these geniuses under his umbrella.
Yeah.
And he is a visionary, or at least the acid made him see visions, one of the two. And then Bill Gates is this guy. Yeah, a little bit of both. Bill Gates, Bill Gates again is this guy who, comes out of the DOS world and personal PCs, and essentially just makes a desktop environment, a desktop interpreter. That's what Windows is or was, or to create an environment that for file folders, easy browsing.
You gotta be in no hurry. I'm sorry about that. That's
cool. I'll just make sure if you have to go, we can cut this short. I mean, we've already delved into the tech at this point. I'm gonna keep.
No, it's cool. It's cool. They're just passing through.
Right on. Yeah, essentially, Microsoft is this thing that utilized, in my opinion, some very questionable maneuvers around 1998, 1999. You know what I'm saying? They were being fined, or they're being fined somewhere around about $1 million a day for breaking antitrust laws. Simultaneously,
they wrote it off as cost of doing business.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, because they're making like 3 a day. Like every school, every business had Microsoft. It was like a thing where Apple could never keep up with what Microsoft was doing in the late 90s. And then all of a sudden, after the Y2K bug, that Microsoft lawsuit just goes away.
Yeah.
And Microsoft is no longer being sued. And then at that point, literally going into the 2000s, Microsoft almost had free reign and could have done anything, except for they didn't. You get what I'm saying here? And like Google and Android and all these other products.
Microsoft has always been late to every market.
Yeah, their phone sucks. Yeah,
all of them. That's why people are like, Microsoft rules and software and stuff. Have you ever seen a corporate back end?
Yeah, like Red Hat and stuff.
Your servers, your file storage, the internet itself, all of Google, all of Amazon, all of Facebook, Linux.
Yeah, Linux backend.
Or other forms of Unix.
Oh, if you look at phones, I mean, shit, dude. Is it an Android? That's Linux. Okay, it's a iPhone. Great, cool. That's awesome. That's still Linux.
Yeah.
It's just in-house. It's Apple's own version. I read a great schematic about how they developed their was it iOS? Or I read a great what is it called? A white page or some shit. I'm so bad about terminology.
That's why Microsoft's making such a big deal about this one core for everything. They're the only ones in the industry that have never done it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, Apple, arguably. I mean, they've got different kernels in their phones than they do their PCs, but
yeah. One kernel for all.
But we've had that in Linux from the beginning.
Oh yeah, Ubuntu. If you have Ubuntu on your phone,
it may be a stripped down kernel, but it's one kernel. The same kernel running my phone that's running my PC, pretty much.
Yep. That's true. That is true. That's great too. Because a security patch over hardware patch goes across the entire device spectrum,
Windows will never be secure by any stretch of the imagination until they start stressing security policies on the kernel itself.
Yeah, I saw a really good...
every other OS on this planet does so.
Firefox was trying to develop... Well, they were trying to. I think that project's been since scrapped. But when Firefox was trying to develop a phone, or at least an OS for a phone, they had this wonderful layer system. One of them was called Gecko that checked...
Yeah, I'm familiar with Gecko.
Okay. That checked all of the code going down all the way to the device, all the way to the hardware. It had layers, so that each layer was basically inspecting the codes so there could be no buffer overflow. And that was great. I was like watching those videos. I was really anticipating this super secure phone, and then the project kind of floundered or whatever. But yeah, Microsoft won't be able to achieve a secure platform, in my opinion, ever, because it almost seems like they write the exploits in there on purpose, or they like it's almost like they are contracted.
Well, they did it one time back when they were charging for updates. Microsoft got caught doing that.
Oh, word. Okay.
They were purposely writing and leaving bugs and stuff in the software that they would fix with
oh shit
the next update.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when the courts told Microsoft you can no longer charge for your updates.
See, I think I was out of the loop those years.
That was like back in the Windows 95 days, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
or before Windows 3.1, maybe.
They said you can't charge for your updates. Yeah, that's way before my time, really. Well, not way before my time, right before my time.
Well, it was a fairly recent thing when I got into computers back in the Windows 95.
Yeah, by the time I was really getting into it was the lawsuit and their inevitable fining, and
back during the Netscape days.
Yeah.
Oh God, dude.
Netscape, and yeah, I don't think Explorer was even a thing yet. I remember most computers having. I guess they had Explorer and Netscape.
Explorer was, but the whole thing evolved around the fact that Microsoft just bundled it so closely with the OS itself. Right. The courts, all they said was just install it like any other program, so that the end user can remove it if they want to.
And they didn't.
No. Well, they told the courts, well, if we did that, if we unbundled Internet Explorer from the OS, it's so deeply ingrained that the OS won't work anymore. Well, when you look at the way it was all constructed, Internet Explorer was your file manager. It was Windows Explorer as well. So they stripped it out and all of its dependencies, which meant you lost your File Explorer, and then brought it back to the court and said, see, this is what you get when you pull Internet Explorer out of Windows. The court said, bullshit. Microsoft refused to comply to the court order and was thus fined $1 million a day until they complied. Yeah,
okay. Yep, that's about the time I stepped into the whole game. Or I mean, not into the whole game, but that's about the time that I can recollect. I'm going to go to a station identifier and also a potty break. If you've been watching this far into Chaos and Coffee, you are a true level 10 or 11 nerd. We have talked about exploitable shit. We've talked about weird shit. I have to go piss. I'm getting super hyper. My name is Justin Brown. I'll be right back. Charles, you're allowed to rant.
Oh, wow. Cool. I get to... I guess entertain you people for a moment. Yeah. So I don't know. What do you say to dead air?
You're the only one in the group. The TV.
So yeah, I'm sorry if there are any Microsoft apologists out there, but if you're a Microsoft fanboy, you really need to sit down and study the history of your beloved company. I think you might find that they're not quite who you think they are. There's a reason why people in the Linux community are so very upset about this close marriage between Linux and Microsoft. And if you look at your history, you'll see it.
I like how that was almost like an intervention. Like I'm like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick, and I had to mute myself and run away, right? So I come back like halfway through this, and it's like, I just want you to take a deep breath and sit down and look at yourself real hard. Microsoft fanboy. There's a history here. Man, gosh. That's the type of talk that you give to, like, I don't know, man. Like the other day when you had to do that family talk with the guy, I want you to take a long, hard look at yourself and realize you're riding a tricycle around and bragging about it.
Is that Cheerios not any good? Or is it?
Oh man, that's funny. I'm literally gonna keep going until my wife comes home. That's how this usually rolls, or until she texts me and says she's on her way home. I gotta go do comedy tonight. Oh, I guess I should talk about my schedule, huh?
Knock 'em dead, brother. Yeah, man. Promote your shows. Promote your
Do
shows.
some promotion. Dude, if somebody's watching, I should do this up front. Like, so if they turn this off in the first 5 minutes, they'll actually be in their brain. But at this point, it's just bragging at this point. I have a show the 6th at the Green Room on Chester Avenue. I will also be at Jerry's Pizza on the 12th, hosting a show for Eric Schwartz. I highly recommend looking him up. He looks like a skinnier version and much more successful version of me. But I'll be hosting for Eric Schwartz. We're going to have him in town. He's on a tour. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. I'll be the 20th at Tembler Brewery. We're having the Royal Rumble. Something like 20 comedians are all going to compete for the belt, like basically the county belt. And on the 27th, I'll be at the Broken Yoke Cafe for the Broken Joke show. So yeah, I'm kind of busy this month.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it goes up. It ebbs and flows. I could have a whole month where I don't even have a show, and I'm just hitting open mics trying to perfect my craft. And then I have months like this where I'm on a show, I'm hosting a show, I'm competing, and then I'm on a show. So that'll be fun. Yep.
Sounds like
I highly recommend. I recommend everybody does this, or in your case, I recommend you just keep playing guitar. You keep practicing.
Oh man, yeah, I do. I love playing the guitar. I do. I have a lot of fun with it.
That's good, man. And yeah, if you don't get stage fright or anything like that, even if you do get stage fright,
I do. But my family are musicians, so when we get together and I'm playing with them, it's not quite like. But it'll get me to playing, so maybe I'll get over that stage fright to the point where I can go out on stage and play. Catch my drift.
Mitch Hedberg, the comedian Mitch Hedberg, had horrible stage fright, and he would just put on dark glasses, and then he would close his eyes, and that way he didn't see the audience.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Jim Morrison stood with his back to the crowd.
Yeah. That's for sure getting over the stage fright.
Yeah, I'll come up with something. I love music so much, though. I'm liable to just get lost in what I'm playing and not care.
Dude, that's what a lot of people do. Like Cassandra doesn't really like being on stage, but she just gets lost in the music. And I don't know. I used to get excited about getting on stage, and now I'm kind of like, I don't dread it. I'm just like, okay. It's more about the preparation before. Like I have to prepare my set.
Yeah.
And then I get up on stage. I have a great time on stage. And then afterwards, I'm like so happy, like I'm done. I did that. That happened. And then about 4 hours later, when I'm at home and everybody's gone, you know what I'm saying? And there's no crowd anymore, I get real like bummed out. You know what I'm saying? Like really bummed out.
Well, too, I've seen it as a opportunity to work on some of my what's left of my post-traumatic stress issues as well. There are certain songs that still trigger me. Other than that, I'm fine. I don't have an issue. See, certain songs that just trigger the bad stuff, and so I'm going to see this as an opportunity to work on that. If I sat down and learn to play the song just for learning to play the guitar and enjoying the experience of playing the guitar, then I can take that negative and turn it into a positive.
Yeah. Use that as a therapeutic tool. That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Then I'll enjoy playing it, and then I can sit back and say, thank God, after all these years, I finally got all that PTSD shit dealt with and over.
Yeah. or at least have a method to deal with it going forward, you know?
Right. Instead of, over these past 15 years, just avoiding those damn songs that are great songs.
Yeah, I don't have any songs like that I avoid.
Well, I'm so passionate about music that I've always equated it to everything in my life. It's always, you always know how, excuse me, you always know how I'm feeling based on what I'm listening to.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are that way.
A very spiritual. Music is spiritual to me.
Word.
So I'm glad to finally be learning an instrument. I can sit down and make my own.
Okay, we're gonna have a guest at the very end of this thing. I guess we'll just keep going until my wife gets home.
Cool. Right on.
Somebody just messaged me, and I'm sending him the link. Excuse me, I would mute myself and cough. You know what I mean? He's an experienced hangout person, so hopefully he'll be able to join.
Oh, cool. Right on.
Excuse me. I have a fascination with threes. Like, it's just one of those things. I was born on the 13th, but I've always had a fascination with the number 3. You know what I mean?
Well, 3 is a holy number.
Mm.
And even in numerology, 3 symbolizes perfection, the creative aspects,
Yeah, past, present, future.
Yeah, man, woman, child.
Mm-hmm.
Earth, air, sky. It's all 3s. Proton, neutron, electron.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it breaks down into 3 quite frequently.
A lot of research into 3. 3 is yeah. Tesla had an obsession with 3 too.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm familiar with the scientist Tesla, but I mean, I don't know. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. I was recently pulling a friend hip to the Black Knight satellite.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think about that. I'm trying to keep an open mind about it.
The weird thing about it is there's a Pepsi commercial about it.
Is there?
Yeah. Yep. You can find it on YouTube under Black Knight Decoded. It's a very long, but inevitably a Pepsi commercial.
I seen that.
Yeah.
It's been several months back, but
yeah.
I've seen that because I've seen a really long documentary on the Black Knight. That's what brought my attention to it.
Yeah, I found that Pepsi clip while doing Black Knight satellite research, and just to show people the concept, if you will, right? I show them that commercial because it's very colorful. I believe Cisco or one of those pop performers of the time, Usher. Yeah, Usher does the music on it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I tell this person, hey man, watch this, and they start watching it, and they're like, what is this? I go, this is a Pepsi commercial. And they're like, what? And I go, that music's Usher. And they're like, okay. And then it's about like the Black Knight satellite, right? Like very blatantly, right? Like right in the open. And I like for people to watch that. You know what I'm saying? Because like, I don't know. More than like a YouTube, like, dun, 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 dun. Here, 3,000 feet above the highest atmosphere sits a ancient relic, 13,000 years old. And then like, clips, weird scientists talking about it. Nope. Let's give them a Pepsi commercial of Usher singing about it.
Wow.
You and me, we can be free. We just gotta tell the aliens how many of us there be. I think that's the thing. Like, okay, if you
I've seen that movie, They Live.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. That's a really good one. That's a classic. They Live, guys. Classic. If
One of my roommates was playing Duke Nukem, I think it was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he used that line, "I'm here to kick ass and chew bubble gum." And I said, "Hey, you're watching They Live." And he said, "What?"
Oh wow,
So I told him, I said, "The movie They Live." I said that's where that quote came from.
Yeah.
Great movie, man.
Yeah, it's the quote has traveled farther than the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to introduce people to that movie. It's a fun movie. It's a sci-fi. It's real fun. They Live. A lot of
people believe it's fairly accurate too.
yeah. The whole concept of the glasses, the sunglasses that let him see the truth, that's really cool. Okay, if we were in Star Trek, right, and we found a planet, there's the Prime Directive. You're familiar with this concept, the Prime Directive? Like, don't interfere.
Yeah.
So with the planet's advancement and shit, and like Starfleet's all about the Prime Directive. It's like their first rule: don't interfere with the advancement of a civilization, right? Don't give them tech or whatever. So we should have that. Like, we don't at all, but we should have that idea in NASA or somewhere. But we can assume that aliens, if they ever came here, would have the ability to perhaps scan the planet for all life forms. We see this frequently in Star Trek. Scan the planet for life forms, right? This is tech that we have in the future that we developed. Scan the planet for life forms. Oh, 6 Ferengi, sir, and 2 humanoids, or some shit like that, right? So just following that logic of Gene Roddenberry, the man who pretty much predicted cell phones, right? Or inspired at this point, right? The design of cell phones.
Right.
We'll be able to scan a planet, or advanced species that are able to traverse from one star to another would be able to scan the planet and tell us exactly how many humans there are. You dig it? Like the population of the planet. They'd be able to, if they wanted to, tell us that number, right? So they could come to the world leaders, the UN or the president, Putin or whoever really, and go, what's the population on Earth? And we have no fucking clue. We can guess at it. We can estimate at it, but we don't have a complete census. We definitely don't have everybody marked yet, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. I hear you.
And so we could guess at it, right? I'm pretty sure if we could give them I'm pretty sure if we actually hit that number, like we guess that, not just guess it, but like if we came to them and we gave them the accurate amount of humans on Earth type shit, they would unlock everything for us. Like, oh, okay, here's how to. But we can't even do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't tell the aliens, even this morning or any day, oh, there's this 3,873,400,000, and no, they can't. They don't do that shit. You know what I'm saying? That we can't do that. Hey man, how's it going? Chris joined us.
What's going on, guys?
This is a Hangout on Air. It's YouTube Live. I do it every Sunday, Chaos and Coffee. I'll just introduce you. Chris is an old school, basically a Google Plus beta tester, Hangout beta tester.
Okay.
I don't know, man. How do you next time I introduce you, I'll have a better description that you can write out or something, a bio.
Welcome to Chaos and Coffee.
Yeah, man. Welcome to Chaos and Coffee.
It's taken me a while to do it because I usually have Sundays. I'm usually working Mondays. I mean,
fair enough.
I'm usually working the day on Sundays. That's what I meant to say. So what's going on, guys? I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah, that's been the general response. I haven't been hanging out on a regular basis, and I don't do Zoom. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a Zoom account. So I'm using YouTube Live to, I don't know, do this little channel and just kind of promote. I have some shows coming up.
So I'm making Kenny's breakfast right now, sorry. Well, his brunch.
Do your thing.
I got
Chris
eggs.
has a large, what is it, a Mastiff?
He's an American Bully. This is him right here. Hold on.
Oh, American Bulldog.
Oh, he's beautiful.
Yes, hello, good boy. Look at that good boy.
You ready to eat, sweetie? You ready to eat? Okay. I
Yes,
know.
food. Yeah.
I made him eggs. Eggs and dry food. He eats
Nice.
better than I do.
Man,
Hey,
that's a good point. 'Cause, yeah, I haven't
Eggs
eaten
are
breakfast yet
good
either.
for a steak.
So, I mean, have you guys been looking? I mean, I know this is not really like a new subject going on, but like you do see what's going on in Puerto Rico right now, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fucking. How do you wake up? How do I wake up? How do you wake up every morning and looking at the situation and looking at everybody that's involved and thinking, what the fuck is going down? And I don't want to mention it. Our president doesn't want to do shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Doesn't
because
Well-
he doesn't care. He's
doesn't give a
too
shit, yeah.
worried. He's too worried about stuffing millions of taxpayer dollars in his pocket every weekend and getting paid to go play golf.
That's part of it. Yeah, it's a big part of it.
That's all he gives a
Bedminster,
shit about.
New Jersey, meeting with who knows who. I don't care. But
He
I think
just
part
wants,
of it.
he
I think
wants
it's
to line his pockets with every taxpayer dime he can get his grubby little hands on.
Mhm.
yeah,
Outside of that, he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, let's go back in history just a little bit on this Puerto Rico thing, right?
Mhm.
Okay. I totally agree that the president doesn't give a shit about Puerto Rico, but let's answer why, right? Okay. We won Puerto Rico, like from Spain. Like in the middle of we didn't even want Puerto Rico. Like we were trying to get Cuba, and we got Puerto Rico. If I remember the Spanish War correctly, right? So Puerto Rico is like this bastard child from some lady that we didn't even want. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it's a bad analogy. Okay, it's a conquest. The conquest that we didn't even want. Okay, then it was going in the debt bad. Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rican citizens in New York are let's try to use this right, a minority group or an ethnic group that Trump historically probably doesn't respect, or you know what I mean? Like Rosie Perez probably turned them down one time. You know? And yeah, it's one of those things where people don't look at the islands that we have as part of the United States, really. Like people on the internet literally think that Puerto Rican citizens aren't Americans, when in reality, 3 million Americans are without power, without water and food, and even the water and food that is arriving it can't be distributed properly. There's only about 100 Army troops that are on island right now. They should have sent they sent a medical ship recently. Shit is progressing forward. Don't get me wrong. Okay, they sent a medical and I don't think it was them. I think the Red Cross sent a medical ship. There's about 100 Army soldiers from the last news report that I watched, which was PBS News last night. So we are doing, I mean, like America is doing for Puerto Rico probably what can be done, honestly. It's just Trump has done like 18 tweets that have gone back from insulting to complimenting Puerto Rico.
I cannot believe he said that shit about that mayor, man. I can't. Like, she's not doing any work. Okay, well, I can believe it, but why would he? He went down there for like. I don't think has he even been to Puerto Rico yet?
I don't think so.
No, there's no way he's even been.
Probably not.
She's waiting. She's waiting for water.
Said that he was waiting until things were cleaned up so he wouldn't cause such a disruption, so that the relief efforts can continue unabated.
Yeah, and that he's still got this whole thing with the NFL going on, dude. So,
oh my God, he blew what was a simple, stupid little thing so totally out of. Oh,
I know, this is all you can say.
I said it's a really sad state in this country when what was a simple, nonviolent protest against racial equality has turned into a gigantic protest against the President of the United States itself.
Yeah.
And he did it to himself.
By not doing anything. By not doing anything and literally not even caring.
Bastards. I mean, seriously.
Or
wasn't that what he called them? Or sons?
No, sons of bitches.
Sons of bitches. That was it.
See, I'm a son of a bitch and a bastard, so I really take offense, you know? Now, taking a knee in sports, like taking a knee in sports or taking a knee in the military, when they say take a knee, it means that somebody is going to talk and they need to listen up, right? Like that's
showing respect.
Right.
And it's taking a knee is actually a thing that's done by football players and the military. It's not something new. Where they take a knee as a sign of respect or prayer, or literally like when a chaplain or a commanding officer is going to do a blah, blah, blah speak, right? So it's actually kind of appropriate to kneel for the flag. And the fact that, like, fuck, man, I want to organize my thoughts here just so I don't articulate this wrong. The president totally sponsored a bunch of people waving Confederate flags.
Yes.
Right, the whole tiki torch thing, right? And so there's good people on both sides, boop-a-doop-a-doop, right?
Nope.
Okay. You should look at this NFL thing and go, oh, that's awesome. That's the appropriate way to silently protest and go, I'm with the NFL. This is the way to do it. Let's clear out the streets and quit rioting multiple cities, right? Like, multiple cities are in the middle of riots right now. Like, just type, like, I don't know, riot and then type most recent on your YouTube, or like set your settings to most recent, and something's going to pop up. St. Louis, you know what I'm saying? Or Maryland, Baltimore. Some place is going to pop up, Chicago, where people are protesting in the streets, sometimes violently. And if people don't want that to happen, then there has to be a peaceful solution or alternative. And taking a knee is that, you know?
It's exactly that. I don't know how else. It's like, I forget the name of that woman who used her. I think it was a DMV. She worked at the DMV or she worked at a government office, and she refused to serve somebody because they were black or Hispanic or gay. I think it was actually gay. She wouldn't issue a marriage certificate to that gay couple because they were gay, even though they had every legal right to be an avenue to be able to do it. But she used her job as a platform. And nobody really had a problem with that. People got behind her. It was all peachy. It was like, oh, look what she's doing. Oh, she's just exercising her right. No, I mean, she's breaking the law. She broke the law when she said no, because it's legal to do it. And if she has a moral obligation to listen to her religion, or her, I don't know, the inner voices in her head that are telling her, oh, this is wrong, I don't give a shit. You broke the law because you have a job that requires you to do that. And if you can't do that, if you cannot carry that out, you do deserve to be at least you go to court in front of a judge and explain to him or her why you were not able to carry out your shit. Do that. And that sparked all that shit. But and I don't even know if she did any time. But if she can do it on her job, and these NFL guys doing it on their time, what is it really doing to anybody that they're taking a knee? Like, yeah, they're being paid millions of dollars. I'm sure they worked really hard to get it. I'm sure they appreciate what they've got. Saying they don't appreciate what they've got, and instead just dumping on and say, oh, they hate the veterans. That they're so that is the most divisive statement I've heard in a while. Saying that they disrespect our veterans. That's just not true.
Yeah, it's not true. It's a classic misdirection tactic, dude. Okay.
Yeah, totally.
There's a wonderful game called Democracy 3. Okay, it's a video game where you play as the president. You're recently elected, and you have some problems to deal with. You know, homelessness, pollution, a skills shortage, asthma, shit like this. Okay, congestion in the traffic sector. So you have all these problems right when you first start, okay? So a guy played as Trump. Okay, like a guy did exactly what Trump had proposed during his campaign. Like,
Uh,
you get what I'm saying? Like tax rate, the border wall, everything. And he inevitably got shot like that. I'll try to find the article, the link to the article at some point. Yeah.
he got shot.
Oh yeah. Capped out, dude.
I mean, it's really the only kind of logical. I mean, it's a logical explanation right now. I mean, you know, assassinate Kennedy for doing such great things, but then this guy just this I don't know.
Dude,
Anyway,
anybody. I'm not trying to incite violence. I really am not. Okay, I'm just saying. Let's be logical. Let's be logical here, and let's just talk to maybe anybody who watches this later and has a right leaning personality, right? Okay.
Yeah.
A Kenyan Muslim, UN, Illuminati, going to take all your guns, right? ran this thing for 8 years and handed it off, right? With the shake of a hands, see you later, and everybody still has their guns, right? There's no FEMA death camps and shit, okay? This cat that got it was literally set up by Hillary. I'm just going to throw it all out here right now. He was chosen by Hillary to run against her so that she would win because no one would choose him over her. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm talking like shake of the hands. Hey, during an interview, he says, I don't see why she's complaining. She's one of the people that convinced me to run. I was like, oh, shit, there it is, smoking gun during this interview. He said that Hillary was one of the people that convinced him to run, right? I don't know how she's going to do well in the debates because she's one of the people that convinced me to run. I was like, oh, shit. Okay, so she picks this punching bag, right, as the perfect fall guy. You know, he's going to go down in the third round. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What she doesn't know is this guy's batshit punch drunk crazy, right? Probably has syphilis or some shit. And not saying anybody out there with syphilis is bad. You just might want to check it with your medications because it has the ability to fuck up your brain. See Edgar Allan Poe. Yeah.
Had it before.
You know, that's funny, man, because I've always been under the impression that anybody could have won against Trump in an election except for Hillary Clinton.
Isn't that funny?
Well, that's one. It definitely divided the political spectrum right in half, right? The thing is, he had help from the Russians. We all know this to be true now. Like,
yeah.
That's a if you're one of those guys that's like, oh my God, the Kenyan Muslims going to take our guns. Okay, right on, cool. Billionaire worked with Russian spies. Go ahead, guys, have fun.
Yeah.
And it's like it was like most people on the internet will look at all the stuff that was going on, the divisive shit that was coming out, and it was just people from Russia, just literally sending memes for the for the right-wing Republicans that really were getting into that shit. They're like, oh, if the left can do it, I guess we can do it, and they all loved it because they don't know any fucking better, apparently. I guess
they don't research stuff.
They don't research anything.
Speaking of researching, something that I have laughed about from the very beginning was Trump's wall. Now, the summer of 2012, I spent traveling along the border of Texas, okay, the Mexican border. Every city I went through had a giant steel wall with these huge berms across the border with construction on either end. In talking with the locals, I discovered that this was a project of George W. Bush, and that wall has been under construction now for, 15 years?
Fucked up.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Fucked.
It's fucked up. Now the walls were, in a lot of places, chain link or barbed wire, or they had these big towers with 360-degree cameras on them. So the entire border is monitored. And quite well, might I add. Those agents out in those speedboats running up and down the river there are armed to the fucking teeth, man. I shit you not. They mean business.
Oh shit, man. That's not good.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's already an
No,
existing.
like what wall? The wall that's already there, the one
Yeah.
that Congress has been funding for the past 15 years, the wall that's
Already in progress.
right.
But he just didn't like. He didn't use like Bush didn't use that as like as a selling tool for his presidency. Like he
No,
just
he didn't.
if you're gonna do something
he
like that,
didn't.
like do it behind everyone's back. I mean, that's a
Right.
stupid reason.
That's
to get
exactly what he did.
America is built on free labor. Okay, so for instance, we had slaves, and then when slaves were outlawed, America created policies so that people who were indigenous to this continent could not migrate into this country to work legally. They made it illegal so that they could fucking pay them less, dude. So they weren't protected by any rights or unions. They could instantly fire 250 people and have the police come in and deport them all. Or anybody tries to do a strike, they have the police come in and legally deport union leaders.
American history. History. Homestead. The community of Homestead. Carnegie was that they were workers in Carnegie Steel Refinery, right? This whole city was built up to support this refinery. Carnegie wasn't paying the people enough money to survive on, and was increasing their working hours and decreasing their pay. So the people peacefully locked down the refinery and sat down and refused to return to work until things got better. The Carnegie Steel Corporation hired the Pinkertons to come in, who slaughtered the entire city.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Shot all of them, men, women, children.
Yeah,
and then they went on to found what became the Secret Service. And Carnegie Steel just hired a bunch of people to come in, repopulate the city, and work them under horrible ass fucking conditions for nothing. Trump is trying to return us to that by saying, oh no, we're going to get rid of all these restrictions that hamper job creation.
The Pinkertons were like
Blackwater. He wants to make it legal for the corporations to enslave you.
Yeah. Yeah.
These bastards I make $20 billion, but I need this huge tax break so that I can create jobs. My ass.
Okay, guys, at this point in the conversation, we probably should stop.
I'm sorry, I'm a passionate.
No, that's cool. I'm just saying, just short of, we should just start, just stop just short of being like,
Yeah.
Because what happens is I love sitting here and talking to people. I'm in my living room, right? And I just don't want my door getting kicked in and a boot placed on my head. And they're like, you advocated that everybody should have a house?
How could you?
Clothing?
Rainwater collection? What is this?
Food? Access to clean water? Access to internet and education? With tax dollars?
You revolutionary.
Dude, I love what
you say, criminal rebel.
Terrorist.
How are we going to pay for it? I love when they say, how are we going to pay for it? I'm like, I don't know. Let's not blow up a country today.
Yeah.
Just a couple days a week.
$500,000 worth of bombs today.
No shit, man.
Fuck.
That's an easy way to do it right there. Okay, the thing that gets me is, if the United States, again, just the people of the United States, if we thought about this, okay, we're not at war with Russia. We're not.
No.
Right? Okay. No, we're gonna build a space station. No, fuck never. We don't want that place is big. 12 time zones. 14 time zones. Or some shit like that, dude. That's how big it is. It's so big. I have a shower curtain, right? That has like an accurate map of the world on the shower curtain for my kid, It's in my wife's bathroom. Russia is like 14 time zones, dude. It's so huge. Anyhow, so let's mark them off, right? We're not going to go to war with Russia. We know this, right? Okay, but that's an old idea that people are still sticking with, that we need a bunch of money for Russia, but we don't, okay? China, we're so tied up with them business-wise that we can't go to war and they can't go to war with us. We buy all their shit. You know what I'm saying? We owe them a bunch of money. It doesn't make sense that you don't go and you don't kill the guy that owes you money. You just break his legs or his fingers or some shit. You know what I'm saying?
And they're manufacturing all our shit too.
Right.
They're manufacturing everything. Like they're
Everything.
For example, all of those Trump hats, all of Ivanka's shit, fucking from China, bro. China.
Yeah, he's been breaking the emoluments clause left and right. The one that says he's not supposed to gain from this, he's been gaining left and right.
Oh, yeah. So, why do you think he's always going to Mar-a-Lago to play golf? Because every time he goes there, he gets to line his pockets with millions of American taxpayer dollars.
Yeah.
It's a private resort. So all of your staff, including the Secret Service, have to pay $20,000 so that they can get a membership, so that they can then get in and buy their own meals at $300 a plate and rent their own fucking golf carts at $60 to protect his sorry ass.
Okay, so maybe the military budget is valid to protect him, but let's get back over to like which country are we so scared of that we're doing $700 billion in military budget? You know what I mean? That's enough to feed the whole world like 20 times over.
Yep.
For 20 years. That's enough money to feed the whole world for 20 years. I think the whole world would love us after that. Can you imagine if instead of rifles and bombs, we just showed up with a bunch of food and we're like, we're sorry, this is peanut butter and jelly. Our kids love it. Eat.
But
we got 20 years of.
There's no money in feeding people.
It would help the corporations that made food. We would basically just we would make this giant food war where we just try to feed the fuck out of the rest of the world. Also, they have to sign up though. That whole numbers thing we talked about. They need to. In ancient cultures, that was the sign of wealth. There, it wasn't how much gold you had in your pocket. It was how many people can you feed. Yeah, well, I just want to push an agenda where people have to have a number assigned to them, and that's the only way they can eat. Or buy things, do commerce at all. Everybody's got to be numbered. We need to give the aliens an accurate description. I'm gonna stick with that one until it actually happens, and like in 7 months when the aliens.
Yeah, speaking of aliens, bro, I was gonna say, where are these aliens? I'm waiting.
Oh, dude, tell me about it, man.
I'm waiting.
Drew, I had the same discussion with a Christian person recently. Like my wife's at church, right? I had a discussion with her, like, where's Jesus at? Like, is this 2017? Like, this guy's late.
He's late.
I'm like, he said 2,000 years, right? He said we set up the whole calendar just for this guy. Like it's his party. You know, like we're all invited. It's his party. He should come down here and rain fire on all the infidels or whatever.
I guess that ties into what we were talking about earlier off air.
Oh, religion and government.
My girlfriend's mother gave me this video about the Jews rebuilding their temple in Jerusalem and how that's one of the signs of the end time. So the end time is coming, and it's this glorious, wonderful, amazing thing.
Glorious.
And that really upsets me because there's a term for that, man. It's called Gnosticism. You're supposed to look at prophecy and say, oh, okay, well, you know, these are the signs. This is what we need to look for so we can prevent this shit from happening, not work to see to the destruction of everything.
Yep, that was one of our talking points. Yep, that sure was.
It really deeply disturbs me. I'm like, here's this Christian woman who, you know, is a loving and kind enough soul who's, you know, talking about how glorious and wonderful it is that everything's about to come to an end.
Yes. You know, I don't know. That is a bit nihilistic. Yeah.
And it's one of those evangelical things. I grew up in an evangelical household, so I've heard this crap my whole life, and I never have understood it.
See, I think a lot of the following the prophecies of the Bible, right? I think a lot of that is where you literally. Well, again, we said this off camera, but I'll say it on camera, I guess. They're literally telling people, hey, in the future, because going to be bad. They never say because we're still going to be bad. Do you know what I mean? Like humans have always been bad by any moral standard of any religion, right? That's the whole hustle with religions, right? You've been bad and you need us, mostly money to us for the forgiveness, right? Instead of just like, hey,
Right.
talk to the sky. If there is this, if the claims are true and there's a big imaginary guy in the sky, or as the Native Americans call him, the creator of all things, right? Just talk to the dude. Just talk to the creator, just directly. You know what I mean?
Right.
Meditate or take a deep breath and make a wish, you know? But the whole thing where they're like, the book says so. Yeah, the book says a bunch of shit that already happened, and it will happen again, and it'll continue to happen. Of course there's going to be floods.
Everything works in cycles.
Yeah, of course there's going to be hurricanes. Of course there's going to be volcanoes, especially when you look at the sun. Yeah, the sun goes through a magnetic cycle. Oh, man, this is the part we should have all been building up to. You ready for this? The magnetic poles of the Earth are currently traveling towards each other. I'm not making this up.
Shit.
Google it. Magnetic pole shift, right? When these two poles reach each other, right? Like a paper clip that you set up to spring. Remember those little paperclip frogs? Ping, right? Yeah. The magnetic field's going to be all over the place, and then it's going to go pling, and it's going to pop up in two directions and stabilize. And in that moment, all the scientists are going to be like, oh, this tectonic plate movement thing occurs a lot faster than what we thought. And then at that point, I'm going to be living as a pseudo-alchemist wizard with a skill in swordsmanship, making salt next to the ocean. And also fresh water. On that note, as soon as this door opens, the show is over. That's how it usually goes. I have a dog that usually jumps up right here on the back of the couch and then opens he doesn't open the door, but the door opens, light floods in, and that's the end of the show.
And that's the end?
That's usually how it goes. Yep.
Yeah. So the show goes on until, well.
Yep, here it goes. Okay, guys, this ends the broadcast. Wait for the light. There's the light.